Here we go. Week 15 recap for the NFL. Big games this week. A lot of big games. Some good news over here. Some not so great news over there. But we'll get into that right now.
Yes, week 15. I mean, more or less, you look at the slate of games, Brandon. The outcomes of those games ended exactly where they should have been, except for a few outliers, including yours truly, the fans of the Chargers. That game did not work out. We'll get into that a little bit soon, but before we do, welcome back to another episode of the BuiBros Football Podcast. I'm, of course, one of your hosts, Quinn Bowie, and I cheer for the LA Chargers. Across from me, my brother Brandon.
And I cheer for the Minnesota Vikings. Woo!
Woo! 12-2 Minnesota Vikings.
12-2.
All right. Man, crazy. All right, let's get into it, Brandon. A few highlight games out of the bunch. And let's begin. Who are we starting with today?
We're starting with the Bills.
Boom. The biggest game. The
biggest
biggest game. In many regards, obviously the highest scoring game, I believe, of the season.
Yeah. I think most offensive yards as well.
Which is crazy because the highest scoring game was last week with the Rams and the Niners as well. Oh, wait. Was it not Rams-Niners? Rams-Bills. No, it was Rams-Bills. Sorry.
Bills.
Rams-Niners was this Thursday, and that was a complete dog type of game. And again, we'll get into that soon. But Bills. Great win. Josh Allen putting up another huge performance, 4 touchdowns, going against the NFC leader in the Detroit Lions. But holy, the Bills took the lead, never relinquished it. Lions fought admirably. There are a few questionable calls. Dan Campbell has since, taken accountability for those calls. But it was exciting nonetheless. So 48-42. And the Bills just helped the NFC, namely the Minnesota Vikings and/or Philadelphia Eagles, potentially gain that number 1 seed.
Yeah, it's one heck of a game for sure, right? Like it kind of seemed like the Bills almost let the Lions get back into it. Like it never seemed like it was actually that close. But obviously it ended with only 6 points in between them. But yeah, like you mentioned, Vikings now get to be, that much closer to the 1 seed. Same with the Eagles. We're no longer a game behind, which is very nice. But no, like in this game, it was again the Josh Allen show, right? Like,
yeah,
he was unbelievable. And it was the first time in however long where a team has to score, or there's 2 40-point games back to back, where both teams score over 40. It was so the Bills are just part of, like you mentioned, 2 of these games that are just such high-powered offenses that are just steamrolling the defenses. And with the Bills injuries, and especially with the Lions injuries, I guess this is what we should have expected, was one hell of a game, just a shootout.
Yeah. But what was interesting to me is the way these teams played. It's always been the Josh Allen show, but he's been relying on Amari Cooper getting back into that system. Keon Coleman, their tight ends have been hurt, but it much more of a pass-oriented offense over there in Buffalo. James Cook has had a great year. Don't get me wrong, but game script really plays a part into that. And this week, it was not only James Cook. He had 14 carries for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it's also Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson was their leading receiver on the afternoon, 5 receptions for 114 yards. So it just goes to show Bills can do it any which way. Then you flip the script, and when you look at the Lions, you think of that offensive line and that running game with Sonic and Knuckles, right? With Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. But Jahmyr Gibbs was their leading rusher, 8 carries for 31 yards.
But then he had like 80-something receiving yards.
Well, exactly. So then you go to the receiving yards. Jared Goff, got to give props to this guy. 494 passing yards, 38 of 59. Of course, game script played hugely into it. 5 touchdown passes. Amon-Ra, 193 yards and a touchdown. like the Lions flipped the script on offense and showed that they can be a powerhouse no matter which way you want to play. And yes, Jared Goff has always thrived in the passing game when play action has been a part, but when the running game's not there, that play action isn't as prominent. And he still got the job done. Fireworks all around. These two, oof. Now, not counting out the Vikings, but the thought of a potential rematch in the Super Bowl has a lot of people salivating over what could be.
Yeah, what a game.
Fireworks. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What
Great
a
game overall. And like I said, Lions lose a win. You guys catch up. Big game all around.
It was huge, yeah. I was happy for the Bills to win. Obviously, I would like Detroit to lose as many games as possible to end the season here. But as much as we're battling the Lions here, anyways, we're battling the Eagles too. But these three teams, we're all tied 12-2. Lions, it's nothing to be, be upset about. The Bills are a great team. They beat both the Chiefs and the Lions. Both like projected 1 seeds at the moment. So yeah, I don't know. I really like this game from the Bills. It was tough. It was as hard as it comes. You had to score 48 points to win, and they did it, right? Like what kind of, you can't be expected to do that consistently, yet they have been. I think it's like 8 straight games over 30 points on offense for the Bills.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is crazy. I think the Lions were doing that too, but then obviously the Lions lose here. But yeah, crazy game, awesome game to watch. It was an awesome game to watch. So it was pretty good. Next one.
Let's go.
Let's see.
Who the Bills also lost to? Were those? Lions. Or was it Lions and Bills? Yeah. Anyway. Buccaneers, my goodness. We talked about it last week. For the record, 7-6. They're a good football team, especially on offense. And I gotta take responsibility here. The last 2 weeks, I've been quite confident. I'm not gonna say I wrote off anybody, but that we were gonna beat the Chiefs, and then our defense is gonna take care of the Bucs' high flying offense. And wow, 40 points for being the number 1 scoring defense. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans just absolutely unleashed. It was hard to watch. Honestly, this week of football in many regards was terrible for me. Lost all 3 of my fantasy football playoff matches. Chargers get absolutely dismantled. Justin Herbert gets rocked and just taken such a beating. Which scares me going forward. It overall just was a defeating week of football and a tough loss to swallow over here from a Chargers fan's perspective.
Yeah, that was a tough game. I saw something. It was like the potential turning point. A fumble from Rachaad White or Bucky Irving.
Right.
5 minutes left in the half, I think it was, something like that. Chargers are up 17-10, and you guys could not ice the game, but like put it, get up to 24-10. That's a strong lead, up 14. Instead, you guys get no points, and then the Bucs proceed to score 30 unanswered, which is wild.
They got 3 at the end of the half there, and then 27 points in the second half with us not scoring a single point.
Yeah.
There were so many areas in which we need to improve as a team. Too much pressure on Herbert. He took way too much contact in that game. Our running game, not good enough. Greg Roman, I was watching, I think it was a tweet that I saw, and it was a quote of his saying, "Can you imagine Justin Herbert with a great running game?" And the caption was like, "We're still waiting, Greg. We're still waiting. Like, when is that going to be?" Yes, I get that J.K. Dobbins is out. But if we see that Gus is not the answer here, I get that he and you have such a history with Baltimore going back. And maybe Kamani Vidal is not quite there yet. but you got to give him some more opportunity, maybe find himself a rhythm. And, we saw a little bit of an uptick in work for him this past game. Let's let it continue. I will say, never mind. I'll get to the silver lining in a moment. So, offensive standpoint, our receivers, Quentin Johnston got a touchdown. Same with Ladd. Great, but then Johnston had a couple plays where he missed. Ladd did his thing when he had the opportunity. Everybody else, not really doing their part. Stone Smart had a little mini breakout last week, and everybody thinks maybe he's gonna have a larger role, which he did, of course, because there's nobody else in the tight end room to really challenge that.
Right.
But he had a couple drops in there, just did not help out, and we got exactly this. Thrashed. We got smothered. 30 unanswered points, like you said, 27 in the second half. It's tough. Our defense, I can't believe they let that many points in. Mike Evans, he's really wanting to get that 1,000 yards. I benched Baker Mayfield. I was up against Mike Evans in multiple leagues in fantasy, and I'm thinking, oh, smart decisions. Mike Evans, yeah, maybe he'll get his, but not that. He went off. Baker Mayfield, oh God, I ended up losing everything, as I mentioned. So, bad week of football. Silver lining, though, let me get into this. The Dolphins lose to the Texans. The Colts, total miscue and mayhem going on over there. They lose to the Broncos. And then the Bengals win. So now, regardless of that loss, we're still 2 games ahead of the 3 edge teams, the playoff bubble teams going forward. And with 3 games left, this week is huge. Thursday night, we get flexed to the Broncos, so that's a big game.
That is big.
Then we play the Patriots. Then we play the Raiders. So we have such a good chance in making the playoffs regardless. It's going to be interesting to see how Harbaugh handles this team over the next few weeks, knowing that we have a good shot. We need to be safe. Injuries piling up. People ready to be that wild card team. Are we going to be that tough wild card team that nobody wants to face? I sure hope so in the playoffs. I sure hope so. But we got to take care of business Thursday. We beat the Broncos, and we actually have a shot to clinch the playoffs this week. I thought we would have to won last week, and then we had the shot to get to 10 wins and ultimately close it out. But if we beat the Broncos, Miami loses, and the Colts lose, we clinch the playoffs. If we tie, then we have to have Miami lose, the Colts lose, and the Bengals lose. So we'll see. Colts play the Titans. Miami plays the Niners.
Yeah.
So let's see what goes on. But there is a chance that we clinch this week, and that would be interesting going in the last couple of weeks of the season. Just how the team is playing right now. Let's see what Harbaugh does. He doesn't seem like the resting type of guy. But of course, we're gonna have to see what Herbert's like, because we know that he's gonna be a guy that could miss a little bit and still come back and competitive and be able to do his job. Sure. He needs to be healthy. He needs to be in the clear 100% for the playoffs.
Yeah. Clinching this week would be pretty big, right?
Yeah.
Then you kind of, you have a different script, especially if you're not really chasing the division title. You're not chasing, I guess being a higher seed would be good.
That might be it. Because they would, right now, if we're 7th seed, we're going to be playing the Bills.
Yeah.
Week 1 in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So January football in Buffalo. Ooh.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, we'll see, like you said, but clinching this week would be huge. Just changes the way that you play the game the next few games,
100%. 100%. All right, let's get past this game.
Ooh, this one looks good. Minnesota Vikings clobber reeling Chicago Bears to move into tie atop NFC. Huh.
Did you read that correctly? Moving into tie to the top of the NFC?
Whoa. Yes.
Whoa.
Okay. Let's talk about the game, and then let's talk about implications after. So, the game, man, I don't know. Maybe it's happened before, but this is maybe the first game I've ever seen like that horrible drop from Justin Jefferson. He had a wide open touchdown for what would have been his second touchdown of the game, and it just didn't happen. And then we got no points on that drive. Ooh, that was bad.
Could have been a TSN turning point.
Well, yeah, except it would have brought us up to 17-0. And then we had another drive later to get another 3, so we would have been like 20.
I meant in the way like in a divisional matchup, I don't mind like how many points ahead, but that drop, we could have.
Oh, it could have
momentum
been
shifting.
The drop could have been the turning point in which things changed. Oh, I see. I thought you meant if he caught it, it could have been a turning point. Yeah, definitely. Oh man, it sucked, and it was like because it was him. You're like no. But either way, like it was never close. The announcers, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman they were saying it was over, but then they were like, oh, there's a chance here. And it was like 30-12 with a couple minutes left. And you're like, man, there's not really a chance here. But yeah, I think the consensus among NFL fans is that it was it dragged on, like the most inevitable win, yet it just dragged. Whereas I was sitting there and I was stoked. I was very happy. I was just thinking about how we're now tied because Detroit lost. Obviously there's the Eagles as well. But now what happens is if we win out, I think it's like a 95% chance that we get the 1 seed type thing. It's if we win out, that means we beat Detroit, so we have a better record, so there's no tiebreaker. But if Philly also wins out, then we're tied in record, and then it moves to the strength of schedule. And so it's more likely, I guess it depends on your past guys as well. I'm not really sure. So if all the guys that they beat win all their games and all the guys that we beat lose all theirs, then I think that they could win. Like they will have the tiebreaker. But as it stands, just simply because we faced Detroit twice and Green Bay twice almost, right. It's like now we've been beating these, we beat Detroit once. So your strength of victory is the tiebreaker. So, it just, I think it's, if we win out and they win out, it's most likely by a large margin that we get the 1 seed, which is just crazy. But winning out is tough.
Yeah.
Winning the next 3 games is tough. Like, the opponents, but just, it doesn't matter who the opponents are. You still look at the Eagles, they got the easiest 3 games left, but still winning 3 games in a row is tough.
They've got their division 2 for the next 3 games.
Is it all 3? They got Cowboys too?
Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure. You get 2 divisional opponents in the next 3 games.
Yeah, but we get our big divisional opponents. So it's Seahawks this week, Green Bay, and then in Detroit for week 18, which is potentially for the 1 seed, which is crazy. So, I don't know. It was a great game. The implications were awesome. We win it. It was great. Losing this game would actually have been absolutely horrible. It would have messed up our division record. It would have been horrible. So this was a much needed win, and it was expected, but much needed. So yeah.
As poorly as the Bears played, start 4-2. We keep bringing this point up. Now 8 straight losses. That is rough. That is rough, and people starting to call out the whole Chicago Bears brass because maybe it wasn't Justin Fields. Maybe it wasn't.
They're worse this year.
Right? Say again?
They're worse this year without him. Like when you watch them, they're worse, for sure.
I mean, yeah, you could put a little bit on to the fact that Caleb's a rookie, and so he's still acclimating, and so there's that influence to it as well.
Dude, when you're watching the game last night, his throws, at one point they showed I think it was around halftime, they showed a stat that was like average depth of throw was 0.6 yards. It was brutal. And so DJ Moore had, I think, 7 catches. And I was watching, and as it was going, I was like, every one of this dude's catches is a screen. It's at the line or behind the line. I would not be surprised if and then because he was like 7 for 35 or something like that when he had a 14 yarder at 1.2. So it was like, this isn't, it was just brutal. Like they don't even give him a chance to run a route and catch a ball. It's like, hey, in order to get you the ball, we have to snap it and throw it to you immediately. That's the only way you're going to get the ball, and then you go make a play for it. But
which is interesting because like they're using Keenan Allen as a little bit more of a downfield type of guy. That was the lone bright spot I wanted to bring up. Is Keenan? Yeah. I think he had a drop pass that was pretty crucial, but then he came back with that sweet toe drag swag. Like his body's at that 45-degree angle right off the sideline there.
I think that was their only third down conversion of the night too.
He still got it. Third down specialist right there. And then he also got the touchdown as well. So he's been doing well, coming on a little bit hot in the last few weeks. So that for me, I got to give out the shout out to my boy Keenan. We miss you. Come back next year. Chicago doesn't want to sign you for the amount of money you want anyway. We won't either, but at least we'll be competitive.
Yeah. Yeah. The Bears they did not look good last night.
There was one play as well that somebody put like memed it. It was like Caleb Williams looks like you gave a toddler a remote control to your Xbox and he was just smashing buttons on Madden. And it was one of his scramble plays where he like fun move, and then he did like you press Y and then he hopped, but there was no reason to maybe hop.
Yeah, I saw that
coming back around. It was funny.
I think we had a defender chasing him. I think it was Van Ginkel chasing him maybe, and I think because I saw it and I was like, that was weird. But I think it's because he thought he was gonna dive at his feet.
Yeah, so no, for sure. Like high knees, like don't get tripped.
But it was weird. Yeah, I remember watching that too. I didn't see the meme, but I remember that play. Yeah. Hilarious. No, it was good game for the Vikings fans. Very, very good
overall, game. 100%. And the rest of the week, as I mentioned, we start off poorly. Rams keep pace in the NFC. Dud win over the Niners, 12-6. Garbage game. Started my terrible football week off that poorly. Cooper Kupp, 0 points. 0 points, Cooper Kupp.
Boo.
Brutal. Commanders, they hang on to beat the Saints. 2019, 1 point, which is pretty. That's rough for going against a Jake Haener led, no offensive weapons, Kamara getting hurt type game. But Commanders still get the dub. Who cares? Chiefs blow past the Browns. Not without loss though. Well, Nick Chubb broke his foot. Man, that sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks. And then the Chiefs confirmed a mild high ankle sprain for Patrick Mahomes. Considered week to week, I think it's garbage. I think he's going to be available this week. Mm-hmm. He's a tough son of a gun.
Especially because they don't have the 1 seed locked and the Bills are hot. They need to win these games. So
100%.
I would expect him to play.
Bengals stay alive against the Titans, 37-27. Damn, you let like the Will Levis bench Titans get 27 points on you. This defense is rough.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It is rough. You still get the win, but again, you're 2 games out from 7th seed. Dolphins, they lose ground against the Texans, 20-12. Tua looked like trash. There was one play he threw an interception, and somebody said it looked like he made a business decision there because he went to run at him to try and stop him from getting any more yards, and he just kind of slowed down, and defender continued on. That's a tough position to be in, too, with all his concussions, and maybe just don't throw the interception next time.
Yeah, easy solution.
Maybe. Speaking of interceptions, I have to throw it in there as well. Justin Herbert, 5th longest streak of attempts, came to an end on a QJ misplaced ball. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say. Ravens, though, handled the Giants 35-17 or 35-14 off of 5 touchdown passes from Lamar. He's really trying to say, Josh Allen, I know you're there, but so am I. You mentioned, though, it's the Ravens' record as opposed to the Bills' record that's really going to, or that could potentially play a factor here as well.
That's what I think. It depends on the rest of the season, though. Like if they win
sure.
out and the Bills lose 1 or 2, then it's pretty close. So.
Yep. Jets finally show life against the Jaguars, which they should have, but the score being 32-25. Also, screw that game. Screw Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. 0 stat line for D. Adams in the first half for his 198 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, what a game, what a half.
That also screwed me in fantasy. Cowboys, they take care of business against the Panthers, as they should, 30-14. Broncos take advantage of the miscues against the Colts, 31-13. Jonathan Taylor, what the hell, dropping that ball right before the playing break, and hey, that's what happens. Cardinals put away Patriots as they should have, 30-17. Eagles show Steelers who's boss in Pennsylvania, 27-13 win there. Packers dominate Seahawks 30-13, and the Falcons kick their way to victory over the Raiders 15-9.
Bum game too.
Yeah, but like you look at the list, and again, most of these teams should have won.
Yeah.
It was probably a good week for betting on the favorites. If I went and looked. And anyway, there we have it. Week 15 in the books. Great, exciting games for a lot of fans, yourself included. Very exciting that you have an opportunity for the number 1 seed and get that coveted bye.
So cool.
For the playoffs. On the other end, Chargers have some reflection to look upon themselves with, and hopefully we bounce back this week, short week, against divisional opponent Broncos, who are now up a game on us. So let's see. Let's come back. Let's be strong. Let's build some momentum going into the playoffs. We have winnable games.
Yeah.
But again, any given Sunday, can't write off an opponent.
Definitely.
All right, Brandon, send us off.
Skol Bolts.
Skol Bolts, baby. Till next week.
Till next week. See ya.